every morning.
Well, we are about live right now.
Mhm.
So give me 1 second to double check that everyone can see us fine. Excellent. Well, good morning and happy Monday to everybody. I hope those of you that did engage in some activity did so safely this last Saturday. Just hopping on here to provide you another live update. As you all are aware, these videos are available to you at any point in time to rewatch and replay. In fact, you can also share it with your network so they're just as informed about what's going on in the community and resources that are available to you. If this is your first time on our page, I hope that you return to us. Make sure that you hit the like button, hit the follow so you can get those timely alerts when we do go live, and start tuning in whenever you do see that alert that we are now live. Now, outside of streaming this on our Facebook page, we also have it available to you on the YouTube channel. That's Westminster Chamber of Commerce, and please engage with us on other social platforms at West Chamber on Instagram, on Twitter, and of course on LinkedIn, Westminster Chamber of Commerce. So this week, as every week has been for the last several months, we kick off the week with our mayor, who shares updates as relates to COVID and information in and around our community, not just in Westminster, county level, state level, even national trends that might be affecting us. During this broadcast, as you're tuning in, we like to engage with you, and we can do that only if you utilize the chat function that's available to you on your fingertips. Now, at the bottom of the video, you should have an option of displaying whether it's a comment or question, like I've already seen Brian Head do. Good morning to you, Brian. Or even if you're tuning in on YouTube, you still have that feature. You might need to assign in to be able to access that, as Wayne has already done and provided us with a quick good morning message to both the mayor and myself. So thank you guys for hopping on. I also see Mike Aguiar and several other folks that are tuning in. Make sure you give us that thumbs up or the comment so we know who you are and who is engaging with us. With that, I know the mayor has some updates for us that he is about to share. So I will mute myself, and Mayor, please do take it away.
All right, thank you. Good morning, Brian. Wayne, how are you guys? Let's start with something that was fun. Kind of an oddity for our money calls, but to Juliet's point, St. Anthony Hospital, along with partnership with the Orchard Town Center, several other groups around on Saturday afternoon, did a trunk or treat. When we opened the gate, the first car was sitting at about 143rd and Orchard Parkway. The line went to 136th and Orchard Parkway when we opened it. When I left a little after 4 o'clock, they were still from the 143rd to approximately 140th, 139th, still in line after two plus hours. We appreciate very much the fact that the parents and the kids in the cars wearing costumes, the parents who drove them or the adults who brought them in, sometimes it was grandparents, everybody was wearing a mask. All the people who participated, from the police and fire departments to the ambulance, security companies, other companies that were there, all the people standing in the parking lot handing out the goodie bags. We're doing safe distancing. We had plenty of masks available. We had gloves, sanitizers. But first and foremost, it was great seeing all the kids have the opportunity to do something that was safe and still gave them a little bit of thing to do with Halloween. So for everybody who participated, thank you very much. And there were, 4 members of the city council from there, myself, Mayor Pro Tem Seitz, and council members DeMott and Seymour. So that we got to participate along with our Parks and Rec staff. Our PD was giving out teddy bears, along with the fire department giving out candy, so that if there's an uptick in visits to the dentist, it's all the fire department's fault because they gave out the candy.
It was so tempting. I almost went out there. I knew if I volunteered, I'd end up eating too much of that stuff. So I held off, Mayor.
Well, I would tell you, it was hard to put all those Snickers bars in the bags and give them away. It was a lot of fun. So
great.
One of the things that I want to talk a little bit about is our Jeffco numbers. which is becoming a bigger disturbance. Many of you are aware, if you're on the business side, that Jefferson County last week, and unfortunately they did this without communicating to any of the municipalities in the county, sent a mitigation plan to the state, hoping to get the approval for a mitigation plan for level 2 of Safer at Home. Well, level 2 tops out at 175. This morning at 10 o'clock, I pulled fresh numbers. Jefferson County at 10 o'clock this morning was at an infection rate of 383.3 with a positivity rate of 7.1. Adams County, the same time I pulled it, was at 688 with a positivity rate of 11.4. Our numbers are still going up and going in the wrong direction. One of the things I was talking to Juliet about, which continues to be very disturbing, is that people who just think it's not going to get me and we're going to continue to do what we were doing before. We know that on social media, there was a lot of in-home Halloween parties. People not social distancing, not wearing masks, even to the point on some of the invites that I saw, people were telling the people they invited, show up, but don't park in front of the house or they'll know we're having a party. Guys, this is not helping us. Every person on this call or goes and views this call later on is a business person, has employees, has workers they work with, or is employed by somebody. Those kind of attitudes are what's driving up our numbers. Still, in both counties, at least in the top 3 items, if not the top 4, small and large gatherings still are our biggest contributors. We are seeing upticks in the areas around restaurants, but I think that you will find when you do the trace back that most of that's coming from outside the restaurant. It's being brought to the restaurants. We are seeing an uptick in our schools. Westminster Public Schools had to go to virtual for the high school last week because they had an outbreak there. We are still seeing some of this, and everything that I have seen from both health departments still tends to support the schools are doing what they can so that the infection doesn't start at school, but it's being brought to the school from the homes and these small and large gatherings. What we are at right now is in Jefferson County. We had a meeting with them on Thursday afternoon, and I voiced a very strong opinion that the health department should not be issuing these health orders without first communicating with the people who their partners are, especially the ones they're going to turn to help with enforcement, which are the municipalities. The county commissioners were there. We believe we have an understanding that they will not be submitting any more of these without talking to those of us who they're asking for support. A stay-at-home order was issued on Thursday by Jefferson County Public Health, and a revision was sent out on Friday. Now, the latest information I have in what Jefferson County has put out, this is the main pieces. Indoor events are limited to 25 people. Outdoor, limited to 75. Arcades are open to 50% of capacity or 50 people, whichever is fewer. Gym or rec centers, 20 to 35%. Houses of worship and life rights, 20 to 35%. Non-critical retail, 20 to 35%. Organized recreational sports, 20 to 35%, but be careful. This is different than what I understand Chaffa is doing with high school sports. I know I heard some stuff about no parents or spectators being allowed at any Jefferson County high school sports. I would tell you check with the school district before you decide to attend. Real estate open houses, 20 to 35%. Restaurants must close by 10 p.m. 20 to 35% occupancy, not to exceed 50 people. Retail malls and markets, 20 to 35%. Theaters, 20 to 35%. And as of this coming out on late Friday on offices, nothing updated as of 11/2. So no directions to office areas. I would tell you, go to the health department website to get the latest information. Check with your health department. we are trying to do everything we can to get the two counties that serve Westminster to be as closely aligned with the restrictions that they are. But the numbers between the two counties are greatly different, from a 688 to a 383. But as low as Jefferson County is, they are starting to see those high single digits and the low double digit numbers starting to creep in on the daily changes. So with whatever we're doing, we have got to keep doing. I'm going to tell you my personal opinion. I don't see this being able to reverse to a low enough number to get us out of safer at home level 3 or back into a low level of safer at home level 2 before the end of the calendar year. That's my opinion. That is not the opinion of the city. That is not the opinion of the health department. But with the rate of incline that we are still seeing, we're not seeing anything move where it's stopping and leveling off, nor do we see a decline. For today, at 10 o'clock this morning, our hospital rates for hospitalization were stable for both counties. They had been in the reds about a week ago. My interpretation of that is that we are still seeing a high rate of infections, but we're not seeing the severity of the infections going critical to the point of putting someone in the hospital or into the intensive care unit. That's a good part, but that doesn't help us when we still have the high infection rates that are affecting our businesses or our public gatherings or restaurants, all of them combined. This is still a big issue. I don't know what we're going to do to convince people that these social gatherings are causing a lot of harm. And sometimes it's to the people who are attending. They may be business representatives, they may be employees. But we need to be vigilant. As I say, every week, we have got to help each other. What we're seeing right now is still not of a level that is going to help turn us around. It's just going to drive us further. In Adams County, the best I can see is that we are on the verge of somebody having to make a decision at the state is, are we doing enough with the efforts we're trying in Adams County to keep us out of the stay-at-home order from the state? I have not seen any indication from either Tri-County. We won't meet again with them until Thursday to see that we've had any indication from the state if they're buying into the mitigation plan that we submitted and if it's having any effect. Right now, with the continued increase in the numbers, it would be hard to justify that we're having a turnaround or a slowdown. This is going to probably be the same kind of an issue we're going to see with Jefferson County. And when the state reviews their order or their recommendation for mitigation is, can you show me that you're making a difference? Right now, with the continued increase, that would be hard for me to say from a state level that we buy into your mitigation plan as having an effect. But keep in mind, Jefferson County only submitted their mitigation plan last week. Typically, we have 2 weeks to start to show something, or the state's going to reevaluate what our mitigation plan is. So this one is still in wait and see mode in Jeffco, but we know exactly where we are on our health orders and our mitigation plans for Adams County. Those are some of our biggest pieces going on right now. And believe me, I get sick and tired of looking at these numbers multiple times a day and having to talk to people about what the potential effect is. This is having an effect. It will continue to have an effect, not only in your personal business, your personal lives, but the operations of the city of Westminster as well. I don't know how much longer we can continue to do this. We're doing everything we can. We will be having a discussion over the next few days on with the council on the IGA that was being proposed by supporting an ambassador program with Tri-County Health, having people from the city volunteer. And I'm going to reemphasize this. We are not, let me repeat, we are not proposing to use police officers to do ambassadorships or enforcement for COVID compliance. But we will do whatever we can to try to make people understand the severity of this, that if we don't get these numbers stopped, if we don't get a reversal, the implication is the impacts to us is going to be much greater than we've seen. We're already seeing our numbers much higher than they were at the peak of this back in April and May. This is going to get worse. We have got to do what we can. And as each week I ask you the same thing, please help us. Talk to your residents, talk to your friends, your neighbors, talk to your customers who come in. Encourage them that the impact to you on a personal basis and to your employees is detrimental to their being able to stay employed. If you don't have employment, we don't have a stimulus package, we don't have the ability to see people getting in. The state's one-time order that went out last week of $375 to those that are unemployed is not going to keep them stable for more than a few days. We need all the help we can get from the city standpoint and from you as a business as well. Juliet, I'm a broken record every Monday, but this COVID just scares the bejesus out of me. I don't know how we're going to get it turned around without everybody getting on board.
Well, and I think it's, to our point, you and I, before we always hop on here, we're kind of vetting what we'll be discussing. And, I know that you'd like to hop on here with some really good news and that we can kind of be sharing some positive. And even though we are sounding like broken records and we're reiterating some of those same things, I think it's just as important to still share that message with folks to let them know that it's still as urgent as it was several weeks ago, several months ago, especially as it continues to go up. We have a lot of folks that have tuned in to the broadcast. I just want to quickly give a shout out to Tina for hopping on, Robin, Counselor Bowles, I see Jacqueline, Sid, Chaz, Tara, and Robin, Chris. Good morning to all of you. Thank you guys for hopping onto this broadcast. We also have a couple of quick good morning notes to us from Commissioner Chaz Tedesco from the Adams County side. Thank you for hopping on and tuning into the broadcast and all you're doing as it relates to COVID response and assistance with recovery. Of course, Counselor Bowles has also hopped on here and shared his morning message our way and appreciates this update. So there are folks that are appreciating our broken record attitude that we have, Mayor. And while others are tuning into the broadcast, if you had any particular questions you wanted to ask of the Mayor, please type it into the comment section of this broadcast. He has touched on Jeffco and ADCO numbers as of this morning at 10 a.m. He's also gone in detail a little bit more about the mitigation plan that Jeffco had sent into the state level late last week, and some of what the highlights or the main items as it relates to that mitigation plan, what it looks like. Most of what he has shared, I have done my best to type into the comment section of this broadcast. If you do have time, I always tell you to rewind because sometimes it takes me a second to type out everything. We do have a quick message from Tara, who is thankful to that the Westminster has a mayor that cares, that she also feels your frustration and hopes that people listen. So thank you, Tara, for tuning into the broadcast and reiterating that. I share the same sentiment. Our mayor does hop on here on a weekly basis to try and keep us informed and really do his part and encourage us to do ours. This one comes to us from Wayne at Leadership Science Institute. He's got a couple of questions. The initial question is, how can the communications to the people be a little bit more effective since the current approach is not working? So since we are being somewhat redundant with saying that our numbers are going up, people are needing to stop interacting at large gatherings in their private homes, stay home if you're feeling unwell, go test, those same messages that we've been reiterating to folks. Do we feel like there might be an area that we can be a little bit more effective with our communication strategy?
My concern is, and I'm going to acknowledge Commissioner Tedesco being on because he's a part of the Adams County team that's helping us get this word out. But Wayne, somewhat to your question, that's one reason we're looking at this IGA between the municipalities, the county, and Tri-County Health, is to start to try to get people to do direct contacts, the ambassadorship that we're talking about. I don't want us to get to the point where we're having to have law enforcement go out, because that's going to be counterproductive in my opinion. But if we can't get people to help us through the communications, I know every municipality, the county, the Tri-County Health is putting out as much as they can through social media, through their websites. But that doesn't mean people are listening to it or reading it. If you have a mailing list that you use for your business or your personal work, your opportunity to help spread the message even further is there for you to do. There's so much information about what the impacts to us that's available to you through these conversations on Monday morning, through the websites, through the emails. The city has done robocalls. We've done social media pushes about the importance of what's going on within Westminster. When it's the health department that's getting direction from the state, and for us, that's all of Adams County. It makes no difference what level of infection one city is versus another because we're all under the same order. So it's the partnership between all of us that's important. And whether you're involved in the municipal government, the county, or the health department, doesn't matter, because you can do your part as well. And whatever you can do to help socialize this, of the impacts that you are seeing or that you're experiencing, especially if you're a business owner, get that information out as well. Maybe that will resonate a little bit different coming from someone that's not in an elected or position of authority, however you want to interpret that. Maybe it will be taken differently. Maybe if it's coming from someone you know or a friend saying, hey, these are the impacts it's causing me and my business. I'm having to curtail employment for some of my people. I'm having to lay them off. Imagine the impact it could potentially have if you go to that level and say, I'm looking at people going into the Thanksgiving and Christmas holiday that I'm going to have to tell they don't have a job for the holiday, or I'm going to have to furlough them for that period of time. Maybe something like that will resonate more than what we're pushing out, because as much as we push it out, as much as we repeat it, and as I said, as much as I be a broken record here every Monday morning, something's not working. And if somebody's got a better idea of all the groups that are involved in getting this communication out, that we still aren't getting it to the level we need, please send something to me, send something to Juliet, and we'll coordinate back and forth.
Thank you, Mayor, for that answer. I appreciate that. One of the things we really were emphasizing earlier on was the availability of our testing sites over at Waterworld. Do we have some data, or whether it's from last week or most recently, on usage? Are we seeing that it's still consistently the same as far as how many people are going to get tested? Have we seen hopefully an increase on people feeling unwell that they go and get tested or seek that?
I do know, the only thing I know about Waterworld, I do know there was one day last week, and I think it was Wednesday, that they got overwhelmed to the point they had to stop people from coming in because the lines were out to the point they were impeding traffic. I think the sheriff's department cut off access to the site for a couple of hours. Once it calmed down, they opened it back up. But keep in mind, that site can handle up to 2,000 patients coming through on a day. So if you have any doubt, now one of the things I did hear from some recommendations is, if you're going to go to the Waterworld site, have all of your vital information, name, date of birth, address, all that stuff, written down on a piece of paper before you go. I'm not sure how it's set up. I have not personally visited there, but from some of the people who had gone, said that got them through the line faster. And because they didn't have to wait for somebody to take down all the information, you had it right there that you could hand it to them. To that, I have not seen enough, won't have a number potential until Thursday when we meet with Tri-County. And hopefully somebody from that be able to give us a new number of where we're at. But my understanding, because the former Pepsi Center, now the Ball Arena, and the Aurora site both shut down, we are still running the MAC for those who are uninsured or are homeless, either one. And we still have the center for right now at the Waterworld site. Still the same thing. If you need testing, go there. You don't need to get a doctor's prescription. You don't need to wait. The other thing I would ask people to think about, because this is part of what's going on with the event on Saturday with St. Anthony, they had a part of the parking lot set aside and people were using it to get free flu shots. So keep in mind, we're into that season. We've had some people that are ending up in the hospital because of flu, because they have complications other than that. So as we're starting to see the flu numbers start to go up, we also still have COVID here. So if you are able, some people are not, understand that, to get the flu shot, it may make it easier for you later on. And then in some cases, some people choose not to do it and take the risk. That's up to them.
Thank you, Mayor. And I'll just hop on to about the vitals information with the testing, because I know Commissioner Tedesco and I both have gone out to the Waterworld sites before. You can pre-register on your phone. It just takes a quick second with your phone, with your name, your phone number, your email, and just those basic data points that the mayor had shared. They don't ask for your social or anything extensive like that, but that does get you in quicker because you just hold that up and they'll allow you to pass through on there. Great to hear that we still have our uninsured available option down at the MAC. And then, of course, as most folks recognize, flu shots are generally covered with your insurance, and there are numerous locations that you can also access those across the city so that we're not inundating our hospital systems. To that point, it was nice. There was a glimmer of positivity that the hospitalization rate, it seems to have been stable as of 10 a.m. this morning, Mayor. Did you have a specific, I think we referenced it last week on how many unit or bed units were occupied, or the percentage of those hospitals potentially?
Not by hospital. I know from the state level, I think the number is 1,800 beds available for COVID statewide. And I don't know what the number is. I haven't checked. I've been more interested in what we can do to mitigate what we can here at the local level. But as I indicated, for both the county of Adams and Jefferson, both the ratings of this morning show that the bed usage is stable, which means we're not seeing a spike right now. We'll just have to keep monitoring as much as we can, because as I recall, it may not have been last week, it might have been the week before, both counties were in the red as far as hospitalization. So at least we're not seeing a big increase. We may have seen something to stabilize and not as much of the severity of the infection.
Excellent. So I really don't have much to ask any more questions on. You've really gone in a lot of details extensively on the Jeffco side. I'll be curious to see what comes back from the state this week whenever we do have some updates on it. I was very pleased with ADCO's response whenever we did come back with, here's percentages for our business community. There were a few industries that would have been hit pretty hard, like our gyms and others, and they advocated to make sure that those thresholds were increased. So appreciate our partnership with them and in hearing some of that voice. Anything else before I round out and start talking about what's tomorrow?
No, I think the thing that we're trying to do with the health departments, as I said earlier, is we're trying to get the two health departments to mirror each other as much as possible. So we don't have one set of rules for one side of the street and another. That's not only confusing to the businesses, but to the general public as well. Again, for any kind of school activities, guys, check with your school districts because, as you know, we have some variations of what's going on depending upon what the schools are seeing. I know I've heard about it on KOA this morning. People are upset that school won't let parents come watch the kids because they're seniors. Guys, that's the school districts. That is not the municipalities. And right now, the health departments are letting the schools, if they've got good plans established, they're letting them make the decision. So go to your school districts, talk to them, see what their basis of, what's the scientific evidence behind what they're doing. Contact your school district first.
Thank you for that, Mayor. Now, you all know that I always round out and say that we'll be back here at 11 a.m. tomorrow for another live broadcast. We're going to change up some of our programming just because we're seeing numbers increase to try and help our businesses address now that there might be restrictions in place and help you adapt to that new normal once again. That being said, tomorrow is also Elections Day. If you have not already voted, please make sure that you drop off your ballot. Now is the only time that you can actually drop off that's left over and going to the actual polling site instead of mailing it. If you have not already done so, we have all of our candidates that agreed to be on our live broadcast. I believe it was about 2 weeks ago, onto our Facebook page. You can see that in the video section. ADCO, Jeffco commissioner candidates. We also had our state house, state senate that represent our area of Westminster. Make sure that you get an idea on those candidates, who's running for which office before casting your ballot if you have not already done so, because those votes do count. So I just wanted to reiterate that that's tomorrow and to kind of hold your spirits up high. We'll be back here again at 11 a.m. Please make sure that you interact and engage with us. So if you have a question, comment, or thoughts, you saw something and you felt like it was a city level that should be addressed, let us know what those comments or questions are. The mayor and I are in pretty great contact with one another. So if one of us hears an update on something or we get pinged by something, we're in touch so we can get those resources to you and answer that question as best as we can. Feel free to DM the page or email us directly as well if you're not comfortable dropping in any of the comments. And do your part by sharing this out to your network so that folks are aware of the numbers on what's going on both of our county sides and resources that are available to you. We are trying to come back with continual updates that are positive. So let's try and move the needle back to where it was. And of course, to you, Mayor, thank you for spending part of your morning with us, giving us updates on both of our counties and, of course, our city. I appreciate all you're doing for us. Bye-bye.